YellowTelescope's YellowTelecast, the best practices for the best practices, providing the medical industry's best practices to the medical industry's best practices since 2008. Are you a doctor? Do you work for a doctor? Do you want to earn more, be more efficient, retain your team, hire for success, or just want to have a better lifestyle? I bet you do. What should you expect from the podcast? A lighthearted, casual, fun, hopefully funny, informative, impactful, well-founded look at the medical industry from a pair of passionate, competent, confident, experienced, talented, questionably good-looking, unquestionably good-looking industry leaders, men of the Renaissance, if you will, and even if you won't, who enjoy Scotch whiskey, world travel, music, single malt Scotch whiskey, fine dining, not fine dining, family, art, and Ryan bourbon whiskeys while implementing intensive training and expert staffing, resulting in unparalleled growth. Listen to the podcast, and for more on how Yellow Telescope can help you grow, visit YellowTelescope.com for upcoming events, published articles, recorded speeches, past issues of our complimentary email newsletter, testimonials, and more.
And now we're recording.
I should be driving right now. I'm in a car.
We did it. This is fun.
Hello and welcome to the Yellow Telescope, YellowTelecast, Best Practices for the Best Practices CarCast.
That's right. It's like a podcast, but on four wheels, which we usually are, except it's typically on two separate Vespas. Whereas here, this is that's actually, if we didn't tell anybody otherwise, we could just say we're actually riding two Vespas, just like this.
Correct. I'm just on one right now.
That's it.
Now, well, where are we, Ed?
We are on the fabulous Ronald Reagan Turnpike, heading northbound. Here in the fabulous state of Florida, heading towards Orlando. In fact, at that moment right there, entering Osceola County.
Yeah, and we're not even nonpartisan, we're post-partisan. We'll take, regardless of our politics, the Ronald Reagan Turnpike all day long, because how else are you going to get to Orlando?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's fine. I mean, if it was the Bill Clinton Interstate 95, I'd be right on that as well.
Oh,
no
absolutely,
problem.
Absolutely.
No problem. So, yeah, we're heading to the 2017 American Society of Plastic Surgeons annual meeting and reboot camp.
Absolutely. Excited to be back at Plastic Surgery - The Meeting, my favorite titled meeting that we do every year, and honored to be invited back again by the Reboot Your Practice staff, as well as the ASPS team. It's going to be awesome. I think we got the better part of a dozen messages to deliver in the next 4 days.
Absolutely. It's going to be, as we like to say, robust. We've got the team coming in from various and sundry parts of the country, including Yellow Telescope, SE Oversight, and Ice Cream Social Media World Headquarters, coming in, got a booth, going to be doing a lot of glad handing, a lot of shaking hands, connecting with clients, both existing, old, potential, and future.
It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, hanging out at some hotels.
We're excited to be back. Yeah, we're checking into the old J-Dub Ritz combo that are connected by the convention center and spending some time at the Hilton. So we're really making the rounds of Orlando business hotels. So it's going to be pretty exciting. And gosh, I got a lot to say on this podcast. I don't even know where to start, Ed.
It's going to be as robust as this meeting. Hey, Yeehaw Junction, half a mile.
Ooh. Well, first things first, by the way, I'd like to give a quick, gentle congratulation to our World Series champion Chicago Cubs on getting back to the playoffs again. Here we go.
Wow.
Go Cubs, go.
Wow.
Hey, Chicago, what do you say? My son put a sticker on my shirt today as well, which I'm representing. I think it's supposed to be some sort of cub.
Oh, yeah.
Get it?
It's like a small bear.
Oh, yeah.
I
It's
like
awesome. So that's exciting. What else is happening? I got to tell you, it's mid-October. We're getting close to the sold-out Yellow Telescope Seminar. The 7th annual Yellow Telescope Seminar is happening in 2 weekends at the Mandarin Oriental, Miami. Our 7th annual, completely sold out. Not even a chair available at dinner. Thank you to all of our fantastic and loyal clients for helping us to be a success. We are finalizing touches on what promises to be our best event yet, and already planning the 2018 event, which will actually be a week later, November 2nd and 3rd, 2018, going a little later. No conflicts with Jewish holidays that way. No conflicts with AFPRS, ASPS, or any other meeting. It's going to be phenomenal, so get you some. As a shameless plug, please note that we run a once-a-year super-duper-duper early bird special for 1 week only, October 23rd through 30th, 2017. It may even be too late by the time you're watching this. Probably will be, but we do run some early bird specials from the end of our last meeting all the way through the end of the year. So if you're thinking about coming in 2018, make sure you get in touch with us at info@YellowTelescope.com and get signed up in advance, because we do sell out 70 to 80% of the spots typically a year in advance to 10 months in advance during that early bird special time zone. So you can cancel to 45 days prior. You don't take any risk in signing up. You get 12 interest-free monthly payments by signing up early. So now is your time. Take advantage, because it does sell out every year. And man, is it hot and muggy out.
I got to tell you, it's actually the temperature, the mercury levels are dropping like a stone. You know? I mean, right now, look at this, 79 degrees. When was the last time you saw a 7 in front of it? The best part is the humidity level makes it feel like 99.
Correct.
So it's fine.
I will tell you, even here in October, just a week ago, we just passed the hurricane, and luckily most folks in Miami came out relatively well. Thoughts are going out to those in Puerto Rico and Houston and really throughout the state of Florida, but we've luckily fared well and dodged the bullet. Heck knows I've lost a home in the hurricane about 10 years ago, so I understand what folks are going through. But I will tell you, it has remained hot even into October here.
Did you say Hot-tober?
Hot-tober. And I can tell you the other day it was 92. The heat index felt like 109.
Oh, it's fine. That's totally fine.
That's more like a percent that I put in for my clients.
109, that's it?
Well, I just think 110 is a little pretentious, and, you know, honestly, I don't have that much energy.
You're right.
I work hard, but there's a limit.
I'd like to say I give 110%. Realistically, candidly, it's really more like 109-ish, you know, with the work index.
The honesty you get with Yellow Telescope SE Oversight, the candor and
transparency.
Yes.
That's right.
Thank you. But yeah, it is hot and muggy. You want to know how hot and muggy it is?
I'd like to.
It's as if Adriana Lima came up and robbed me. Just sort of hot and muggy.
Where's my wallet? Found it.
All right. Well, it was nice talking with everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
This has been a really good podcast.
This has been really good. Well, hey, so as you know, on every podcast since the beginning, you know what's about to come, which is we're going to pop our bottle of single malt whiskey or bourbon, rye, and just have a wee dram, just one, just a sipper.
Well, here, let me get us set up here.
All right. Now, I know that we're in the car and driving on a highway, but we thought it would be prudent for our consulting clients to watch us have whiskey while driving.
Yeah.
Except for then we rethought that and realized that would be very imprudent, and we should do the exact opposite of that because we wouldn't ever do that.
That's right.
And so we do have a lovely selection that Ed has picked out. Can you tell us a little about what we're going to be drinking today?
Yeah, absolutely. Originally, let me hand you this.
Oh, that's mine. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. This is it's a 2017 Diet Pepsi from the Wendy Burger.
Oh, excellent. Great. Yeah, and for those of you guys out there in podcast land or in YouTube land, not even a glass, just a liter or so of soda pop from Wendy Burgers.
That's right. That's right. In fact, you know, I don't know if you knew, John.
It tastes good.
Diet Pepsi actually originally came out in 1964.
Okay.
As a sugar-free alternative to the real Pepsi.
That's my Renaissance man fact of the day.
Absolutely. So here we are, really celebrating the 53rd anniversary of Diet Pepsi. So cheers.
Well, cheers, Diet Pepsi. And I've got to tell you, you know, it doesn't taste 53 years old. It seems like it's been aged in a plastic barrel for about an hour, hour and a half. And it really takes on some of the surroundings of the cup. And the straw, I think, is a nice touch. A lot of people like to drink this neat. I do it on ice with a straw.
Yeah, no, I agree, actually. I mean, what I like about it, even though the plastic lid does kind of hide some of the vanilla and spice notes,
sure,
you know, the straw and really the effervescence of the CO2, I don't know, it really brings a lot out. And I got to tell you, excellent compliment to my spicy chicken sandwich.
Oh, quite good. Quite good. My original chicken sandwich just didn't live up to yours. And so very good. Well, please, if you're looking to have a whiskey, but you find yourself in a car and on the road, and you care to be a responsible human being, our recommendation for this month is a Diet Pepsi to keep yourself svelte. This is the American Society of Plastic Surgery meeting coming up.
That's right.
Which has a little bit, in my view, less saccharine sweetness than the regular Pepsi, let alone the Coca-Cola.
Yes, indeed. I think that's how
Which I think is French. I don't know.
I think it actually is.
I'm going to overtake this vehicle. Oh, can you hear the engine?
I like it.
450 horsepower of madness right there.
Right. It's so
enjoy. Can you see that car in my rear view?
Felt it in the back. Oh, man. Well, so we're making record time, not speeding, and not drinking.
We were just going 90, but that's fine.
That's all right. That's all right.
So, topic of the day.
That's right. We've been working with clients, as we are often. And, you know, it's interesting. We look back to this time last year, and we were sweating it out back then. It's what we do. And thinking mostly about cost centers and profit centers, and most of the time, doctors are kind of feeling a pinch because of the slow summertime, and singing the spendthrift summertime blues. I think was that.
That was actually going to be our car cast karaoke.
That's right.
Was the summertime spendthrift blues?
Summertime spendthrift blues or something.
And the spending is easy. How about that baritone?
Oh, that is a baritone. A few things I enjoy more than a John Hoffenberg baritone karaoke jam.
You know the difference between rock and roll and jazz, right?
No.
In jazz, you snap away.
What do you do in rock and roll?
Snap forward or backwards.
Really? With the wrist, full wrist?
Wrist forward
That's
versus
rock and roll?
wrist forward.
All right. I'll pick up what you're throwing down. Anyway, what are we talking about today?
Well, so spendthrift blues, and so most of our clientele in the medical space overspend all winter because they're making lots of money, because most medical practices are seasonally better in the winter. Then most of the time they stop spending, freak out, and fire everybody, and stop spending. Of course, I exaggerate and caricature a little bit in the summer because they start to feel poor. And one of the things I remind my doctors about is the summer's longer than you think, which is to say you start to feel poor around late July, then it really starts to kick in and get worse by August, but then you still have September and probably most of October before you really start to get that big influx of leads that starts to fill in November and the holidays and December and the new year. So although some businesses are less and more cyclical, for example, I have a client out in San Francisco, I believe it's our Sacramento client, just broke their all-time record in September for the second year in a row. All-time record ever last September, second all-time record this September. I can't remember if it's Denver or Sacktown, but one of those teams did it. So I don't believe that it has to be a bad time of year, but the traditional result is a slower time of year in the summer, and it really starts to build because it's like 4 or 5 months. It's like a third to 2/3 of the year that the doctors are feeling, quote unquote, a little bit tighter in the pocket. So last year we had talked a lot about just how to budget and manage and make a plan so that you're not stuck without investment in marketing during the summer because business goes on, and also not spreading yourself too thin in the winter and then not having anything left for the summer, just like a teacher who forgot that they don't get paid for 3 months when school lets out. It's a planning issue. Mm-hmm. This year what we wanted to do around the same time was talk a little bit more about implementable ideas to literally save you money today. So a little bit later in this podcast, we're actually going to have you have an opportunity to contact us to get connected with a free service that will literally save you money, just free, no charge to you. We have a policy of not shouting out specific teams on podcasts or speeches, so you'll contact us, but it is a free service. And then we also want to give you a couple things before that on just ways to approach your P&L and to think about your business and places to look to see if there's some reasonable places to save some dough.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of it does actually happen around the planning in this time of year. And when at this point it's already October, we are beyond looking at Halloween, and we are beyond looking at Thanksgiving. We are beyond looking at Christmas and Hanukkah and the holidays and the Happy New Year celebration, although we look forward to it in the times of family and the rare bits of time off that we might get and give to our team. When it comes to the business planning and that of our clients, we're well into 2018 at this point already.
Yeah, we just hired 2 new people to ensure that we're well staffed for next summer's June and July.
Exactly. We started the staffing process for those 2 new positions here at Yellow Telescope and SE Oversight back in just early spring. By the summer, we had our 2 new recruits start. Shout out to Sebastian and Jackson, who are off.
C-Jack.
That's right. Sebastian.
Jackson.
Jastian.
Action
Sebastian. There you go.
Sebastian. That's Bastian.
Yeah.
That was Bastian.
Yeah. Was that what was that movie?
Never-ending Story.
The Never-ending Story.
Ooh.
Sorry, a little pitchy there on the end.
Little flat. $500 a week on music lessons for this.
And this is what we get. I didn't promise you carpool karaoke, John. So at this point, we've already been looking into 2018, really as soon as the spring of 2017. We've got our own annual planning meeting set up. We do practice what we preach annually.
November 29th.
That's correct. Well,
Thursday.
actually, Thursday the 30th.
I'm off by then.
Some of the teams are arriving on the 29th. And so there's a lot of planning that's going to go into this. It's a full day off-site meeting. We start off at John Hoffenberg's home. and really enjoy it in all its splendor and grandeur. And then we've got a full, long itinerary for the day. We've got really the planning for the entire team, exactly all of our upcoming events, goals for each one of our lines of business over the next 12 to 18 months, individual roles and areas for opportunity for growth for each person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. After that, we retreat to our holiday party, which is a fabulous dinner out, and our annual whiskey tasting. This year is the year of the D. That's right.
The year of the D.
The year of the D. So we basically find a different whiskey that starts with a D. And I'm really excited about the year of the X, by the way. I think we're
going to be light.
I mean, we're going to have some stretches. We're like, but John, it's a Jimenez Oloroso sherry cask.
Correct.
Starts with an X. It's fine.
Yeah, so with the annual planning meeting, so we've obviously got our tradition, and I think that not having an annual planning meeting is a mistake just from a business perspective, but if you can then take that annual planning meeting and make it an investment in your people and something special and fun, it's something that people look forward to. So yeah, so our year of the D, I think year A, we had Aberlour, and we had Abunad, and we had whatever, last year we had Kalila for year of the C, and so every year we're just going through the alphabet. So in our 27th year in business, we'll be drinking nothing but whiskey starting with a Z for our annual traditions. That's something fun that we do. You can pick your own. But so tell me, Ed.
Yes.
When we know that having an annual planning meeting just makes sense because, business, life, read any book on earth. How does this tie into cost savings?
Doesn't. I just wanted to go out tangentially.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I think it could.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you're going somewhere with saving the dough.
It absolutely does. So essentially, what we're looking at is
that.
See, got him. The time
Objection,
of year,
Your Honor.
The time
Leading
of
the
year
witness.
has everything to do with oftentimes when you've got your light times and the times when you do kind of need to sock something away for the down times. You need to make sure that you're being careful to reinvest in certain things during those times, and other times when you need to be cutting your costs. So when we look at each month of the year, and for our practices for that matter, when you map out each month of the year, what are you going to be promoting each one of those years? What tends to be light? What seasonal procedures or treatments do you actually tend to be performing at those times? And what are you underperforming that you want to try to maximize on at those times? What do you find yourself spending a lot on in those particular areas? And also going back to our podcast from a year ago, making sure that you are spending on the right things. Don't start cutting back on marketing simply because, February is traditionally light. Make sure that you're actually reinvesting in those cost centers or in those profit centers and cutting back on the cost centers. So from a planning perspective, actually mapping out your entire year quarter by quarter, month by month, and what your actual goals are going to be will contribute to the cost savings.
Right, so you got some idea of budgets, which I think is great. And, one of our old sayings that I think we stole from maybe 30 Rock back in 2004 is a John Barry special, our head of SEO oversight, which I think is something to the effect of, I've had my share of
rock soup and roadkill stew, but
I've also known leaner times.
That's right.
I just love that because it's all perspective. So obviously budgeting for it saves you money by spending money, which is to say that if you know you're going to spend a certain amount per quarter, if you've got sort of a certain profit center you want to invest in year round and you've budgeted for it, you don't feel the pain of having to reinvest in it, so you don't cut off your profit centers and so forth. The other thing that you can do as a part of that exercise is actually go line by line through your P&L. I went through mine today because it's early October. I just went through my September P&L line by line, and it's not that in a short meeting you're going to be able to identify every single dollar overspent or every good investment, but what I like to do is compare year over year numbers with at least my executive team and go through each line item and look at for what I call anomalies. So for example, if this year you spent $200,000 on Botox and last year you spent $200,000 on Botox, well, that's fine because there's no real anomaly there. There's nothing that stands out. It's probably just fine. You then also can look at your revenue from that. We know that revenue should be at least 2x on fillers. So you should say, well, did we sell at least $400,000 a year to make sure, A, there's no fraud or issues or inventory issues. So if the numbers line up, you move on to the next line item. If the line items don't, you have to start asking questions to say, how is it that we had about the same $200,000 worth of product X, which is supposed to be sold for $400,000, and yet there's not $400,000 in the bank? Is that fraud? Is it inventory management issues where you literally just didn't keep track of inventory?
Yep.
Is it giving away too much free product?
Is it a delay in accounts receivable? Is it your accounting problem?
Yeah, there's any number of things. Did the rep give us more free vials last year? But looking at those things, you can identify ways to save money the next year, whether it's through simply adding a lock and a camera on the cabinet, through contacting your rep and saying, hey, I think our numbers have been jacked up. As you go down the list, you might look at your malpractice insurance and say, I need to ensure my practice manager or front desk person contacts my insurance rep and just ensures that we've got the best coverage for the price point. Unfortunately, insurance has that way of always going up, but it's certainly something worth looking at because there were examples of practices where they're overspending. I look at my accounting bills. If your accounting or legal bill has gone up by $25,000, something's wrong. And so just looking for things that stand out line by line. It's something we all know how to do, and it's easy to do, but it's a matter of not really taking the time to do it because we're all busy. In an annual planning meeting, taking 15-20 minutes, it'll get your juices flowing on where there's areas for opportunity. You also should be looking, as always, at areas of investment. Just because you spent money doesn't mean it's bad. Maybe your marketing on SEO went up, or web design went up because you redid your website. We're redoing YellowTelescope.com. Finally, we just launched icecreamsocialmedia.com. You should check out, by the way. It's literally going live tomorrow morning. That's ISCREAM, icecreamsocialmedia.com. But so that's going to make our web bill higher this year because we're redoing the site, which probably won't be redone next year or the year after at least. So you can look at things and say this was an investment, but it was a good investment. It's okay that we spent it. And in fact, maybe we want to spend more on that thing next year if it made us money. So you want to be prudent, not just cut costs, but look through those line by line. So I love the annual planning meeting as a way to ensure you take time off, separate from the practice, get outside the practice, tied to something fun afterwards, whether that's a little, dinner or whether it's, a whole night on the town like we do, but do something for your team, but also get something done. And then you make marching orders. But I also like how you can have specific things you can do to save money, like simply going through your profit and loss statement. Yeah. A second thing, which I don't know if you want to jump in on, is just the idea of having that annual vendor review.
Well, I think this time of year is a perfect opportunity to not only be taking a look at the line-by-line items on your P&L, but you really should be making a habit every single year of contacting every one of your vendors, whether it is your Allergan rep or whoever is supplying you with your Botox and your injectables and your all the various supplies you might be using, your implants, etc. Maybe it is your office supply person. Maybe that whoever, whether it's Staples or whatever connection you've got that is supplying you with your pens and paper and toilet paper and all your kitchen supplies, etc. Whether it is your medical supplies when it comes to your sutures and your gauze strips and your latex gloves, whatever the case might be, whether it's even any of your digital vendors or your marketing vendors, anybody that is providing a regular service to you that you regularly order products or services from, you should be asking them at the end of the year what is the best that they can be doing for you, and also specifically going through what you have been receiving from them and kind of determining if there's any specific line-by-line items, areas for saving even within that individual vendor. Oftentimes, in order to keep the business, they'll be willing to work with you, particularly if they want to maintain that relationship. Sometimes there's absolutely nothing they can do, and frankly, they're a great value. And maybe you work with a company like SE Oversight that helps you to negotiate the very best rates for whoever you're working with anyway. And so there's nothing else that needs to be done because you're already getting a great deal. But it's an excellent annual exercise to just really approach them and make sure that there's nothing else they can be doing for you.
I love it. And, something that I find, again, in my business, I don't think I've talked about this on prior podcasts, but we find that a lot of the minutia just falls by the wayside on our credit card bill as well as on our P&L, which is to say that even though we have outside web teams and outside technology and things like that, we still have to sometimes buy things like little plugins or something that our host needs for our server, which sounds like a dinner restaurant, but it's really all technology, hosts and servers. And there's little things we buy for our social media clients where we like some nifty new technology and we try it out and has some cool graphic design stuff, but after a year we're done with it. And what I find is all of these are recurring charges and you just don't see them on your P&L. So I know last year, and it's such small money individually, you don't worry about it, it's almost not worth the individual phone call. When you add it all up in aggregate, it's really something. So last year, not this year, but I guess probably 12, 14 months ago, we did an accounting of everything and we found 4 or 5 charges that simply were companies we were paying for literally nothing. I mean, just there were things we used to use, but we just don't use. Now, one of them was like $10 a month, so whatever. But yeah, so fine. We saved $100. That's not a big deal. But when we looked at all of it, I think it added up to about $500 to $700 a month just on pure complete waste. Now, relative to our revenues and most of our clients' revenues, probably not the biggest deal. It's maybe $6,000 to $10,000 in waste. But when you actually stack $6,000 to $10,000 up, well, it's a week in Europe. You know, it's it's an intern for the summer.
Yep.
It's significant sums of money, and I'm sure if we lit that much money on fire, someone would be pretty ticked off about it. So just a few little tips for you as you go into your annual planning meeting on that.
And not to mention, it just makes you feel a little bit better. Like you said, it's not like you're like, oh, sweet, we can retire now. We can hire 10 more employees because we saved $6,000. No, but at the same time, it kind of just sweet high five. Like, who knew? Thank God we did that audit. Makes you a hell of a lot more comfortable actually investing in something that you just want to do. You're like, well, we can spend $10,000 on that XYZ now, or hiring that $40,000 a year employee. It's like, it just feels a little bit better, a little bit more comfortable because you saved like $8,000 on all the BS that you didn't even know was there.
I was actually thinking about joining the Deer and Doe Humane Society because I love to save a buck.
I thought for some reason it had something to do with like on the side of the road and like the Adopt a Highway. It's like a highway thing. We don't really have a robust deer population here in Florida.
I don't know. I'm depressed about what I just said. It just was not good, and I went with it, and now
I do my best to contribute,
have to move forward.
Prop you up.
Well, hey, should we tell them about? Let me immediately transition out of that.
Can we talk about paddleboarding? Something?
Well, that's what we're going to do next. We want to have the paddleboard podcast, the Padcast. That's another new thing I want to tell all of you guys about. Ed and I bought paddleboards.
Yeah, well, now we're on this kick with this mobile podcast thing, nonetheless.
And these paddleboards are resplendent, I've got to tell you. 12 feet 6 inches, under 30 pounds.
So much
beautiful
fun.
Wood inlay, custom carbon fiber. Paddles we got.
All kinds of stuff.
We're going to get out there on the water. Got to get down the intracoastal. Ed's been on the ocean.
Yeah, that's tough, by the way.
Many thanks to skis.com and the Summit Sports team for getting us a little bit of a hookup. One of our digital strategy clients with SE Oversight helped save us many dollars, and it's very, very kind of us. But if you need anything for outdoor anything, go to Summit Sports. Go to their family of websites.
That's right. Water Outfitters, ACK.com, Austin Canoe and Kayak, the whole bit. Your go-to source
they're
for all outdoors.
Well, we wanted to save you some money as promised. So let me give you, if I may.
Please.
Even if I mightn't.
I'm just enjoying the scenery here in Central Florida.
It's flat.
Uh-huh.
There's grasses.
Was that a mountain? No. Overpass. So how are you going to save us some money, John?
Isn't it really more of a Passover? I don't know.
Is it that time of year?
It is actually that time of year.
That's right.
And may you all be reinstated in the Book of Life.
Azizan Pesach.
Is that it? I don't really know.
I think so.
Oh, goodness. So let's save you some money. So basically, you currently are a medical practice. You do LASIK and cataract surgery. You do plastic surgery. You do dermatology.
I sure do.
You're an otolaryngologist. You're something. And you're watching our podcast. Thank you.
Yes.
You're listening to our podcast. Thank you. That's I don't know.
Well, that's a serious
So
effects
let us save you some cash. So you, because of that, order medical supplies. Medical supplies being, as Ed referenced, your JJ Ethicon stitches, your latex gloves, your gauze pads, your scalpels and tools, and everything else you need to run a medical practice. You order most likely through a Shine or a McKesson or a Cardinal or a GPO or a distributor or some other agreement that you have that you believe gets you good pricing. Well, I got good and bad news. The good news is help is on the way. The bad news is you're largely not saving very much money. The reality is most of these models are rep-based. They have to pay their rep who comes into your office, who's a very lovely person, and we love them and they're great. And so what happens is these guys just try to undercut each other. So your McKesson rep talks to your Cardinal rep, comes in and tries to take business away from Cardinal. Cardinal tries to beat out Shine, and it goes in a circle and a cycle, and that's just kind of the nature of it. So hopefully they win on customer service or what have you, and they'll do a pretty good job, I think. But the prices are the prices, and because these products are fundamentally fungible, interchangeable, The reality is you mostly pick based on what's the best price, and understandably so, because you are running a business and you don't want to overspend for something you can get elsewhere for cheaper. It's the whole reason Walmart exists as a store, is you don't want to spend more for the same darn thing elsewhere. So in any case, we've always heard about all these different companies that are out there that save you all this money. And the reality is they do in some cases, but what they oftentimes do is simply lower the rates on a few key products that are emotionally attached to you. So if you're sick of spending money on X, Y, and Z, they come back and say, oh, we'll give you those at a way lower rate. But then they don't tell you that they're actually keeping other rates much higher, where they've got a 90 or 100% margin or more, so they can make their profit. And then the next team comes in and undercuts them, and the same process continues. But over time, the prices still rise.
Vicious.
So there's, on top of that, other groups out there that swear they've got better pricing and distributions and GPOs and all these different reasons. But a lot of times they lack customer service, don't have good shipping, don't have the selection of products, only give you organics. There's all these issues. So in any case, we've never really recommended anyone, but we finally found a company that we really like, and their process is unique. So we work with a group which we can private message you about in case you want to speak to them. Just reach out to us and say you saw us in the podcast, and we'll make the introduction at no cost to you. And the way it works is this: they're a company, they're fantastic, they're doctor owned actually, and basically they have hundreds if not thousands of doctors that pool their resources together, their power, if you will, their buying power for economies of scale, and they negotiate simply better rates than you're going to get anywhere else. They are not selling generics. They have all the same products. In fact, around 250,000 products they have access to. And these are things like, Medline sort of products, or Ethicon Stitches, all the name brand stuff. They can also suggest generics at a lower rate if you wanted a generic, so maybe you don't care which latex glove brand you use. They can sometimes save you even further. But their prices are lower, period, not just because they're recommending, say, a generic or off-brand. The name brands should beat the other name brands in most cases. Because of their buying power and structure, they generally beat whoever you're using and can save you at least thousands a year, if not tens, if not hundreds of thousands. I personally worked with this team for the better part of a decade, and I think that they saved my old practice tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'm pretty sure hundreds of thousands of dollars throughout the years. So the question is, how on earth does that work? Well, it's interesting. We set up a call between you and them. You speak to them. They will tell you how they work. You send them a list of like 15 or 20 products. We purposely keep it to just 15 to 20 because A, it'll take 17 years for them to review 79 pages that you send them. And number two, it allows you to pick out products that you buy a lot of or you think are expensive, so that way they're not cherry picking through and trying to prove they can save you money. They're products you specifically have picked, so it's a fair comparison. You basically send them a short report. It takes about 30 minutes from your MA, nurse, or practice manager or something to put it together. They come back to you in a week and either say we can save you money or say they can't, and that's it. The secret is, thus far, every practice we've ever worked with has saved money, 100%. Even pretty big groups, even multi-specialty practices, even people who order through distributors or other GPOs. And the average savings ranges from about 10 to 70%. This week alone, we've connected people who've saved 19%, 37%, and 69%. And then you just order from them. They have overnight delivery, so if you order by 2 p.m., you get the products the next day. It's free shipping your first 6 months, plus you get shipping for free after that, as long as you order. I think it's like $175. And on top of that, they don't just sell medical supplies. They also have pharmaceuticals. So if you have an operating room and you need, anesthesia medicines, if you need, Ambien, Valium, antibiotics, whatever, they pretty much got it. And they can save you some cash there. And then also, if you're building an operating room, or you're building out a new office space, or you're updating or redecorating, they've got everything it takes to build an operating suite. So autoclaves, reclining medical chairs,
operating chairs, cabinetry.
Yeah, cabinetry and shelving. Yeah, so all kinds of cool stuff. So there's no harm in trying. If they can save you money, they save money. If they can't, they can't, but they can just about every time I've seen. And what's interesting is they're not price manipulators, which means they don't take your 20 products, lower their prices to win your business, and then raise a bunch of others to make up the profit. And because of that, they won't be lower on every single price. They actually give the same prices transparently to every doctor in America, no matter who. So they either can or can't beat your price. And so that's it. They either meet it or they don't. And if they do, then great, you save the money. So it becomes a one-stop shop. You've got your own dedicated customer service rep. You got the overnight free shipping. You've got actually us backing you up. We do some operational help and stuff with them to make sure they're efficient.
Yep.
And we get a finder's fee if you use them. That's how we make money. But you pay the exact same rate as anybody else. It's literally zero to you. Makes us, unfortunately, a small amount of money, but in aggregate, it helps out. So this is both a way for us to build our business while helping our clients, which is exactly what we love to do. So we are shamelessly promoting how cool it is, and our clients are very, very happy. So it's another way for you to save money heading into 2018. If you'd like some information, simply email info@YellowTelescope.com or Guardian@SEOVERSITE.com, SEOversite.com. What did I miss on that? Anything?
I can't possibly imagine if you missed a darn thing. But I can say that it's
other than my exit.
No, well, we're good. I'm already getting really excited because we're 35 miles from Orlando, so you know what that means.
Well, Ed, we're near one of my favorite cities. You know what it's called, don't you?
No.
Kissimmee.
Ha!
Would you like to spend time in Kissimmee?
No, thank you.
Me either.
I don't even want to spend time in Orlando.
That's kind of true.
But I like the town. I like the meeting. I can get there on Disney World, but, you know.
Well, I'm heading in hot. I got the toddler coming in with wife. We're hitting up the Magic Kingdom on Super Sábado Gigante.
That's right.
On Super Saturday. It's going to be awesome.
Yep.
We got fast passes. We got fantasy breakfasts.
Oh, yeah.
My wife has spent over 60 hours planning 8 hours at Disney. And it's amazing.
It's amazing, too, because I saw she was showing me the app, gave me the whole tour of Disney. I was still remembering back when I was a kid, and I think maybe the last time I was there was all the paper, map, and it only cost $27 to get in, which I thought was ridiculous, even though I was 12 years old. I'm like,
I think it's like $200 now or something.
What?
Insane. It's a lot of money.
Oh, man.
It's a whole thing, Ed. I had to buy a $22 wristband. I have a new Walt Disney t-shirt, only it just says Walt, and it's Walt from Breaking Bad.
Ha!
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, you're going to see it on social media.
They're so au courant. Well, I'll be in the Orlando Convention Center. Come find me at the booth or on the main stage for my my panel on weeding out price shoppers.
Love it. Yeah, we got a bunch of talks. We're doing 2 talks. This is the year of social media, and I'm literally giving the talk social media monetization.
So lit.
Got to check out icecreamsocialmedia.com and come see us speak at the Yellow Telescope seminar and other meetings coming up, because we're definitely moving into social media as it becomes such a prevalent source of actual business, which wasn't really true even 2 or 3 years ago, and so forth. We should actually mention what all do we have coming up. Obviously, this will be airing well after we're back from ASPS.
Yep.
But what all is ahead of us here?
I mean, we've got the 7th annual Yellow Telescope Training Seminar, as you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. We've also got sold out. I mean, the last week, of course, the super special discount. Got to sign up. If you're watching this in January, call us anyway. We make you a nice price, just not as nice as October.
Correct.
So, beyond that, our own John Barry is going to be speaking at the Florida Society of Facial Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery meeting first weekend in November. Back in Orlando, speaking, representing SE Oversight. We've got a webinar coming up with Metasthetics. 45-minute webinar. It's going to be some classic evergreen content on building your practice that will be up there forever.
That's in November?
Yeah, so check that out. We've also...
then in February, we've got the AACD meeting. It'll be our first appearance at that event.
ASPS.
What did I say?
ACD. Yeah, they're right next to each other on the keyboard.
American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry. No.
It was a typo.
Yeah, excuse me. We're going to be at the AACS. We're honored to be invited to that. I think we've got 8 to 10 messages we're going to be delivering there. Yep. Excited to attend that. That's in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think March.
3 trips we got planned to Vegas. So February 1st through 3rd, Vegas, AACS. March, I think 1st through 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
That's for ASPS Aesthetica. Honored to be back there for, I think, a 3rd year. That's a fun one. We love going to that one.
Yeah.
And then June in Vegas, and then they'll be back to YT Seminar.
Yeah, and then in the meantime, servicing our clients to the maximum.
Absolutely. We are definitely crushing it. I'm booked out with YT clients till April.
Yeah.
So get in touch if you're looking for help before then. Ed, you're just about booked that far?
First quarter, yeah.
Q1 18. So anyway, we appreciate all the positivity, support, and success. I don't know if we mentioned the last podcast, we were honored to be named one of South Florida Business Journal's 50 fastest growing companies in South Florida. We're actually ranked number 15 out of the 25 companies that are under 25 million in revenue, so just sort of smaller to medium-sized businesses versus the monsters. So that was a big honor, a big award. Really excited about it, and we're building the infrastructure and keeping the quality level high, but we're growing like gangbusters. SEO Oversight's still around too to help you out. You know you need us. You know your website's just okay, and you know you have no idea what your web team's doing, and just pray every day the leads show up. So give us a holla, and we'll be around. What else? Anything else we discuss here at this fantastic podcast?
No, we're 2 miles officially from Kissimmee St. Cloud. It's hard for me to contain my excitement because we're so close to Disney. I gotta go. I gotta figure out something. I gotta meditate. I gotta take some deep breaths. I gotta do something.
All right. Well, thanks for joining our podcast. We can't wait to talk with you next time.
We're going to figure out how to do it. We're going to get the waterproof camera, the whole setup for paddleboard or something.
The padcast.
That's
gotta
right.
happen.
That's actually what it's called in Chicago. It's a padcast.
It's a padcast. Go Cubs, go.
Go Cubs, go!
We'll talk to you guys on the flip side. Play us out. I'm going to have another sip of this Diet Pepsi.
Whoa! Easy, driver.
Yeah, it's actually amazing. This affects me more than a whiskey, and that like half of this thing I'll be up to like 3 in the morning with the caffeine.
Don't even try to blame that on the fast talking on that caffeine, because you do it when you're half asleep. I know.
I flow like a twig on the shoulders of a mighty stream.
That is correct.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese, 4 limerick oysters, 5 corpulent porpoises, 6 pairs of Donald Verzo's tweezers, 7,000 Macedonians in full battle array, 8 brass monkeys from the sacred ancient crypts of Egypt, 9 sympathetic, apathetic, diabetic old men on roller skates with a marked propensity towards procrastination and sloth, and 10 lyrical, spherical, diabolical denizens of the deep, a hall stall around the corner with a quota, quaint, and quiver all at the same time.